One of the main pop culture phenomenons of the 1990s was, of course, the Spice Girls. Their music, as well as their personal and private lives, captured the attention of the public and filled gossip columns for years. By comparison, the Spice Boys are perhaps a lesser-known cultural milestone. In the 1990s, English football was coming out of the dark days of the 1980s, marred by incidents of hooliganism and long ball games on soggy pitches. Despite that, Liverpool Football Club had been a force to reckon with famed players such as Ian Rush and Peter Beardsley. The 90s also saw the formation of the Premier League, today considered to be the best league in the world, at that time was still finding its identity. However, it was still action-packed. By the mid-90s, the league was humming along and attracting foreign stars to come and play, as well as a host of British talent. Liverpool, still of course a big club in the eyes of many, had begun to cultivate an excellent team made up of English stars. There was Steve Mcmanaman, a local Liverpool lad, known for carving up defences as well as his long shaggy hair.
Mcmanaman. With the left foot this time! It's done the trick! Steve Mcmanaman scores for Liverpool!
There was elder statesman John Barnes, who had come of age in the 80s and was now an experienced squad member. There was the marauding defender Jason McAteer, goalkeeper and later England #1 David James, absolute goal machine Robbie Fowler,
Mcmanaman now then to Fowler, and the shot has gone in, it's 2!
and silky smooth midfielder Jaime Redknapp, member of the famous Redknapp-Lampard footballing clan. His father was Harry Redknapp and his little cousin was the great Frank Lampard.
Possession. Redknapp, can he get the shot in here? Oh, what a goal by Jaime Redknapp! That was terrific, and Manchester United...
Aside from Blackburn winning the Premier League title once, the main title contenders were Manchester United. Sir Alex had built a tough and attractive squad with the likes of Eric Cantona, defenders Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister, and speedy winger Ryan Giggs, as well as a young David Beckham. Of course, Liverpool was always considered to be sleeping giants, having won the league just before the formation of the Premier League, and now, with this fantastic group of players, were once again considered genuine title contenders. However, there was another side to this talented Liverpool squad, one that included hard partying, modeling, tabloid infamy, drug allegations, and of course, white suits. Former defender Neil Ruddock is full of bawdy stories that relate to his experiences at Liverpool during this time. It was also a long-held tabloid rumor that star striker Robbie Fowler was having an affair with baby Spice Emma Bunting. There was even allegations of cocaine use, which he countered by doing this goal celebration. He was fined by the Football Association for his actions. David James had signed a lucrative modeling contract with Armani. While this doesn't seem that out of left field, this was the start of sports stars finding fame outside of the game in a famous for being famous type of way, similar to perhaps the ultimate Spice Boy himself, David Beckham. Although he never played for Liverpool, but his off-the-field Fashion Week antics did spark the famous boot-kicking incident between him and Sir Alex Ferguson. It must also be noted that Sir Alex Ferguson's strong hand probably kept David Beckham and other players from going the way of the Spice Boys. Anyway, the idea being that David James' modeling contract was seen as a distraction from his football and could, and perhaps did, lead to poor performance. Local Liverpool lad Steve Mcmanaman was constantly dogged for not scoring enough goals and was later seen to be difficult and above the team when signing a long-term boot deal with Adidas. Later, a protracted transfer saga with Real Madrid did nothing to endear himself with the Anfield faithful. Finally, Jaime Redknapp had a similar high-profile tabloid relationship and a partying lifestyle, as well as magazine articles and adverts, and a general pretty boy laddish persona which was seen as negative. Jason McAteer was perhaps the least self-absorbed, but was still perhaps a dumb jock. Best evidence in this story from, again, former Liverpool defender Neil Razer Ruddock.
We went to Ibiza on a boys' holiday, and we had this big villa. And after 2 days, we got bored, so we said we get a big minibus, pick us up, take us to the beach. Which was a half hour away. So in the morning, minibus turned up, so we all jump in. There was no Dave McAteer. So Jason, where's Jason? He comes running out with a big bag of ice. Says, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, when we get to the beach," he says, "we'll put this beer, all the beer in this big bag of ice, get them cold." Well, I said, "Well, the beach is half hour away, Jay. By the time we get there, it's going to get melted." He went, "Oh yeah, I'll go get another one."
It all came to a head in 1996 when Liverpool and Man United faced off against each other in the FA Cup final. Back when the FA Cup still mattered, of course. In stark contrast to Sir Alex's stoic, well-drilled Man United led by the philosophical and temperamental Eric Cantona, The Liverpool Spice Boys, as they became known, showed up in white suits with the blue flower in the lapel.
There's a very relaxed atmosphere you seem to have with the commitment. There's a lot of steel in here. You're very determined.
Oh, of course. We have a little bit. Once the game starts, it's you've got to become professional then, and this is just our way of relaxing a little bit. And we have got a few jokes in the team, but we all enjoy ourselves. But we know when it comes down to football, that's the most important thing.
Jason, Manchester United, they're going for the double. It's a very important game for Liverpool Football Club.
It is, yeah. I mean, we worked so hard this season, and we've strung together some terrific results. I think we went 22 unbeaten. I think to come to the end of the season and not to take any honours home today will be a disappointing season for Liverpool. But we'll be out there fighting for the cup.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the afternoon.
Meanwhile, the similar stoic and workmanlike Liverpool manager Roy Evans and his assistant wore black suits, as was the custom. Sir Alex Ferguson, of course, had his own take on the incident.
Well, let's have a quick look. See if you remember this photo. Remember
God
those?
almighty. Why did they do that?
When was that?
At the 96 Cup final at Wembley. I said to Brian Kidd, 1-0.
Those aren't your players, of course. Those are Liverpool.
Yeah, it's Liverpool, yeah.
You turned to Brian Kidd, your assistant.
1-0.
1-0.
Well,
just because of this?
Yeah. Because of that. I think that's, I don't know, what would you call it? Arrogance or overconfidence or, I don't know, it was ridiculous. I think it was absolutely ridiculous. Blue shirt, red and white tie and a white suit and a blue flower. Who designed that?
5 behind, James gets there just first. Cantona!
In the end, of course, Sir Alex was correct. Eric Cantona scored an amazing goal and Man United won 1-0. Liverpool and the Spice Boys were embarrassed and attacked in the tabloids, spawning the moniker itself, and in general being an example of laddish, loutish behavior seen in popular culture during this time, as well as a me attitude, where players were more concerned with endorsement and public image rather than on-field results. Eventually, Mcmanaman left for Real Madrid. Jaime Redknapp had an ignominious end to his career, being pushed to the side by the hungrier and younger Steven Gerrard. McAteer suffered from bouts of depression and was one of the first athletes to speak on the subject. Robbie Fowler continued on before finally retiring, where he invested his money in property, making millions, probably more than he made in his footballing career, and became involved in horse racing. David James ended up becoming #1 for England and won the FA Cup with Portsmouth, which was managed by Jaime Redknapp's father. But that was a few years later. Perhaps the only one whose career remained intact was John Barnes, who had already achieved a lot in the 1980s, and by the time of the Spice Boys, he was at the tail end of his career. Finally, Neil Razer Ruddock, who was not himself really a Spice Boy, but more of a lad, pretty much drinks in pubs up and down England and gives after-dinner speeches about his time as a pro footballer, with a heavy emphasis on off-the-field incidents and antics. All in all, it is seen as a squandered opportunity for greatness in the storied history of Liverpool Football Club, in stark contrast to Sir Alex and Man U's no-nonsense, humble, workman style which dominated the decade of the Premier League and beyond. Sir Alex Ferguson himself was known for bouncing any players that got bigger than the team, such as David Beckham and his own brush with the Spice Girls.
I bet you laugh about that, do you?
You do.
Isn't that
It's sometimes embarrassing when you want some Walker's crisps and you go and get a big bag of Walker's crisps and it's got your girlfriend on the front and everyone's like that. Well, leave you going that.